Good evening, guests. We are starting in 1 minute. Please take your seats and join us in welcoming David Pomeranz, the Way to Happiness Philippines Happiness Agent.
Announcement. I could have stayed there for 25 more minutes. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming and for being with us tonight in this very, very important and lovely evening. There's so many wonderful people in the group. We're going to have a presentation tonight I think will be educational for you. I think it'll be inspiring. And I'm going to start with a little song, if that's okay with you. Yeah, I happen to have a microphone with me. I take this with me wherever I go. You never know. And one of the things that occurred to me about The Way to Happiness, which you'll learn about tonight, this little lovely book, is, you know, a person is basically good, and when they remind themselves of that fact, magic happens. Magic happens. Can you tell which song I'm going to sing? Okay, here we go. This is for you. I know this song. And if you'd like to sing along, you can if you wish. Here we go. Take me to your heart, show me where to start. Let me play the part of your first love. All the stars are bright, every wish is ours tonight, my love. Baby, those who wait, trust in love to fate, finding out too late that they've lost it. They will never know the ways of love. Got to believe in magic. Tell me, how do people find each other in a world that's full of strangers? You gotta believe in magic, something stronger than a movie. 'Cause it's magic when two people fall in love. I may never know why I need you so. All I need to know is this feeling. We were born to share this dream, my love. Wanna sing with me? 1, 2, 3. Got to believe in magic. In a world that's full of strangers, oh, something stronger than the moon above. 'Cause it's magic when two people fall in love. You gotta believe in magic. Tell me how do people find each other in a world that's full of strangers? You have to believe, you got to believe something stronger than the moon above. It's magic when two people fall in love. Yeah. In a world, in this world, you gotta believe it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now tonight, while you have your dinner, we're going to see various precepts, various little chapters from the book, The Way to Happiness. I guess you see it on that screen. You see it says, precept number 18 is an example of what's in the book. There are 21 of them. 21. Simple, simple. Respect the religious beliefs of others. Okay, and that's something we need to do. So enjoy your dinner, and we'll see you a little bit later, okay? Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Hi. Nice meeting you. Thank you. One picture. Ayan, dito na ba? Sa baba. Sa baba.
Bluebirds fly.
Ceremony for tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Palakpakan po natin ang ating mga sarili. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. My name is Barbie Atienza from the Manila Bulletin, and I'm also the president of the United Print Media Group. And I got one over you, David, because they made an announcement for me. But I'm sure things will turn out for good tonight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DIYAKATRA. Palakpakan po natin ang mensahe ng kapayapaan. As we all know, DIYAKATRA is the Maranao word for peace. And that's what we're celebrating tonight, an evening of peace, a gala for the Marawi Recovery Initiative. And we'd like to formally start the program tonight by asking everyone to please rise. Tumayo po tayo, ilapat po natin ang ating kanang kamay sa ating dibdib. At sabay-sabay nating awitin ang lupang hinirang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Hindi pa po binabago ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Okay, here we go. standing, ladies and gentlemen, as we open up our evening with prayers. Prayers to be led by the chairman of the Imam Council of the Philippines, Alim Said Bashir, and Father Atilano Fajardo from the Adamson University.
Okay.
آمين يا رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the world. Most gracious, most merciful, master of the day of judgment, that though we worship and when we worship, show us the straight way, the way of those at home, those has been stood by the gates, those whose portion is not wrong and who go not astray. Allahumma inna nas'aluka min khayrihi kullihi ajili wa ajili ma alimna minhu wa ma lam na'lam wa na'udhu bika min sharri kullihi ajili wa ajili ma alimna minhu wa ma lam na'lam. O Allah, indeed we ask you of every good either has stands or the lead, what we know of it and what we do not know, and we seek your protection from every evil either has stands or the lead, what we know of it and what we do not know. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala khairi khalqihi Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. O Lord, give us good in this world and good in the next, and protect us from the punishment of hell. And Allah's salutations on Sayyidina Muhammad and his family and companion and peace.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us in this hall. All those who believe that life could be better off in a few months' time. We believe that each one of us gathered here can make a difference in the life of the people of Marawi. And Lord, this is magic. We thank you so much for giving us the grace to be able to show that we are brothers, that we all together can recreate the goodness of each and every one, despite the many sorrows, sufferings, wounds. We know that healing is about to come. And through the help of all who are here, we thank you, Lord, for making us believe that reclaiming the dignity of the Filipino can come in the very near future. Lord, this Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us the grace to proclaim that we Filipinos together can heal this land. All this we ask you through Christ our Lord.
God together as one people by giving him a big round of applause of thanksgiving. Thank you very much, Imam Alim Said Bashir and Father Atilano Fajardo. We may now be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. And we come in peace, so can we ask everybody to just say, please say good evening to the ones beside you and say hello, good evening, peace be with you. There you go. It's such an honor for us, ladies and gentlemen, to be together here breaking bread. And we'd like to say hello to the representatives of the head of state, to our volunteers over here, and the organizers of this event. Would like to ask everybody to say thank you by giving a round of applause to the Way to Happiness Philippines Foundation. We'd also want to say maraming salamat to the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Palakpakan po natin. And of course, the Mindanao State University, MSU. I would also like to thank the support, of course, of this fabulous hotel, the Grand Dam by the Bay, the Manila Hotel, and the help of the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation. Welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen, and to set the tone for tonight's gathering, for tonight's celebration, we'd like to call on the President of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome on stage, Amanuding D. Ismail.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong masigabog at malakas na palakpak. Honorable DELFIN LORENZANA, Secretary of the National Defense, and his behalf, Ma'am Edith. Honorable ABDULGANI MACATOMAN, Assistant Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, and his behalf, Ma'am Upaida, representing Secretary Ramon Lopez. We also have the President of the Way to Happiness Philippine Foundation Incorporated, Dr. George Perez de Tagle, and of course, Mr. David POMERANZ. The Way to Happiness International. We also have here the Assistant Secretary, Ma'am Paula Perina Alvarez of the Department of Finance. Of course, the President of the Mindanao State University, Dr. Habib Macayong, represented by the Assistant Vice President or the Vice President for Finance and Administration, Attorney Basar. Distinguished guests, fellow Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, magandang buhay po sa atin lahat. It is indeed a great honor and pleasure for me, both personally and as President of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and on behalf of the Way to Happiness Philippines Foundation Incorporated, we would like to welcome each and everyone to this event, which is held in this magnificent surrounding of Manila Hotel. I wish therefore to express our sincere thanks and appreciation to everyone for generously funding and supporting this event. This event is the first fundraising activity of these two organizations, mainly to bankroll the funding of the cost of printing 100,000 copies of booklets entitled The Way to Happiness, which will be translated into Maranao dialects for distribution to the people of Marawi. And the theme of this event is DIYAKATRA, Moral Recovery Initiative for Marawi. The theme highlights the importance on ethics and moral values, which is an approach to building of strong state and citizenry. On the other hand, DIYAKATRA is a classic Maranao word, which means peace or tranquility. And the Sarimanok logo, which is appearing in your program, which composed of different colors, represent the unity in diversity, which eventually translates into prosperity. And to sum this up, let me opine that unity in diversity creates peace. And therefore, when there is peace, there is prosperity. When there is prosperity, there is freedom. Life without freedom is not worth living for. The general objective of morality is to ensure good governance, with prime concern, of course, for moral values, behavior, and practices. These moral values are actually inculcated in an individual by parents, teachers, religion, society, and environment of workplace. The promotion of ethics and moral values and governance implies the following. It ensures the legality of government action. It also implies the rationality in decision making. It also evolves around responsibility and ensure accountability. It also implies streamlining or work commitment and ensure excellence. It facilitates the spirit of individual and organizational goals. It also shows compassion. It also protects the national interest and safeguards the interests of justice. And finally, it offers or brings transparency and elevate integrity. I would like, therefore, to encourage everyone to partner with us in the promotion of this Marawi recovery program in Marawi and be an active agent for its sustainability in the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Marawi. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that Marawi crisis has brought many opportunities and challenges. And these challenges has spurred the government to turn the devastated community into a community of peace and prosperity. And to give you a rundown or estimate on how much we spend in the reconstruction of Marawi, I would say that the land area of Marawi is around 8,400 hectares. And just 4% of that, which is 336 hectares, and that is equivalent to 3,360,000 square meters. If you multiply that on the average cost of reconstruction or construction, which is 25,000 per square meter, then you will get around 84 billion pesos. Ganyan po kalaki ang gagastusin sa reconstruction ng Marawi. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe and you agree with me that you will help support the so-called Marawi facility because this will create the so-called growth and prosperity which Marawi City needs. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ismail. Inspiring words from you. Of course, we all look forward to a Marawi that is peaceful, that is harmonious, and prosperous in the near future with everybody's help. You know, ladies and gentlemen, just a few short months ago, I never had any idea about what the Way to Happiness was all about until a friend of mine asked me to meet up with a gentleman who, armed with his advocacy and this determination to really promote peace and happiness all over the country. And that was a blessing to me. And that was the time that I met the gentleman I am to introduce today, right now, the charismatic, amiable, and hardworking, dedicated man of peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Way to Happiness Philippines Foundation, Mr. Jerry Perez de Tagle.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome everyone here from my heart to your heart. I think this is a historic evening. And so I will just be presenting first a 10-minute audiovisual presentation on the Way to Happiness. It's a story of hope. And it did not start just a year ago or 2 years ago. I'm very excited to be here this evening with you because we are celebrating a 2-decade journey here in the Philippines. Started by none other by our international ambassador change agent, David POMERANZ. So, the title, so maybe if we could request just a dimming of the lights. And we're starting off with a short video, a 3-minute video of an actual event that happened this year in Cuneta Astrodome. And in that video, 3,000 police officers were trained. And this was all a multi-sectoral cooperation of the city of Pasay, of the NCR Police, NCRPO, and at the same time with the DILG, PIDEA, and the Dangerous Drugs Board. Okay. Do we have it? Yeah, hold on. So here at the start.
Wala po one size fits all pag pinag-usapan ng happiness.
Isa-isang hakbang lang at ika'y makakarating.
Ito po yung daan po sa kaligayahan. Pagbabago ng kaisipan, pagbabago ng puso.
Tunan din natin lahat ang way to happiness. Thank God you're here, you're still alive, you're so beautiful, and you're so handsome.
Ang mga kaibigan, takot din sa balayan. Makasama ko po rin, napakaganda na itong lecture natin ng Basic Happiness.
Do want to others, do you want others, do you want to...
Kasi nasa pag-ibig ko palagi, itong dalawa nito. So that if I have my chance, I have my time, I share something.
Too many people running around the planet. What is the chance in heaven that you'd find your way to me? You would have inspired me so much.
Okay. Now we have a 5-minute presentation. Okay, can we start that? Yes, audiovisual. Can we turn off the lights again?
dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up with clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dream that you did to, oh why can't I? Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drop, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dream that you dare to, why, oh why can't I? Someday I wish upon a star. Wake up with
So we want to partner with you. Let's give a hand. Barbie?
Yep.
For you. Okay. So that was great. No? So that was a 20-year journey. So can you imagine where the Philippines will be in 20 years with ethics, with moral values, and with hope? I thought that it was a journey of hope.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight, we've only just begun. A lot of big hand for the chairman of the Way to Happiness Foundation Philippines, Mr. Jerry Perez de Tagle. Maraming salamat. And with those visual presentations, who wouldn't be inspired? It's such an inspiring thing that we're beginning here, and it's snowballing, and we'd like everybody to be a part of it. And, well, join the movement, join the initiatives towards bringing this country to a new level of happiness. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call on the Director of Student Affairs Service of the Mindanao State University to do the honors of introducing our next speaker. Can I call on Mr. Usman Aragasi?
DIYAKATRA to everyone. If we have this meeting, we agreed, and therefore, it's now high time to give you DIYAKATRA every now and then. Of course, our secretary, one of the heroes of the Maranao this time, Secretary LORENZANA. So we usually meet in all our gatherings in Iligan. Thank you. Of course, my brother, the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, Classic Maranao. The initiator of a very relevant foundation, of course, Dr. Tagle. Sir, good afternoon. Good evening. And later on, I'll be introducing to you a beautiful lady who is our next speaker tonight. Other officials, both from the government and the private. Of course, our very own officials from the Manila State University, headed by our Vice President, Attorney Basar. Vice President, Professor Paca, is with us tonight also. And other representatives coming all the way from Marawi, which is now the very important subject matter of our occasion tonight. I am tasked, of course, to introduce a very successful woman. Before joining the government, she finished her international studies from the De La Salle University. She obtained her Juris Doctor of Law degree from the Ateneo de Manila University in 2014. And it follows immediately in 2015, she passed the bar examination. Of course, she's very happy to be identified as part and spokesperson of the famous Partido Demokratiko Pilipino de Pilipilaban. Our next speaker tonight, after obtaining her Juris Doctor degree, she joined with the famous Del Rosario and Del Rosario Law Office as junior associate. But even before that, she's also working with a very famous company, the Sigyonrina, Monticello, and the Ongsiaco Law Office. She is now the present Assistant Secretary of the Department of Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and help me welcome the Honorable Paula Serena Alvarez, the daughter of the House of Representatives Speaker, the Honorable Pantaleon Alvarez. Ma'am, I hope I give justice to your background. Thank you.
Honorable Secretary, Mr. Perez de Tagle, Mr. David Pomeranz, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for inviting me here today to this wonderful cause. And before we start, I'd like to open with a statement from Dr. Susan Andrews, the Prime Minister of Bhutan. On gross national happiness, she stated that today, there is an increasing need for an integrated solution to problems, and gross national happiness provides a systematic approach. In a world drenched with materialism, the human heart yearns beyond material possessions, and that is one of the reasons that gross national happiness is attracting so many people. She was one of the first advocates to state that although GDP is important, the happiness of a people is more important. This is why they started the Gross National Happiness Index. Some of the components of this index provide also that people look at corruption, their outlook on the society, the economy, their standards of living, the peace and prosperity in their country. With this, we come to realize, what are we doing in our standard of living? Where are we in our Gross National Happiness Index? Recently, the Philippines came up 10 notches from number 82 to now 71. So I think this pretty much shows us that our people are very happy or is becoming more happy with our present administration and the current system of our country. So, what are we doing now? This is why the administration also wants to pass a tax reform program. It's because we want to increase the standard of living of our people. We want to give them more jobs. We want to give them more money in their pockets. We want to invest in schools, in healthcare, in hospitals, in social services. Or in other words, we want our people to feel better with their lives. We want them to have a better standard of living. Para sa atin naman po, ngayon na meron pong ganitong fundraiser for Mindanao, what we also want to do with our tax reform is to not just concentrate economic progress in Metro Manila or the center. We want to trickle down the economic outputs. That is why we also want to invest in Mindanao specifically and in Visayas. If you would look at the gross domestic product, the per capita income of, let's say, Metro Manila, it's 200,000 pesos as compared to the per capita income of, let's say, ARMM, which is 10,000 pesos. There is great disparity. And we think the problem is because of the lack of infrastructure and the lack of equal opportunities. That is why, with the help of our President and with his cabinet members, we want to invest more in Mindanao, especially now that we don't want to just rebuild Mindanao, but we want to bring back better and make it move forward. So, with that, before I conclude, I'd like to share another statement from Robert Kennedy, that we must continue to prove the world that we can promote a standard of living for all men without loss of civil rights or human dignity to any man. And we think this is what this program is about. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary Paolo Alvarez. And may we ask you to please remain here in front as the chairman of the foundation presents the token of appreciation to our guest speaker, Assistant Secretary Paula Alvarez. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Maraming salamat po. And that was a message of happiness. That was very inspiring indeed. The Philippines can be the first ASEAN country and the sixth in the world to take on the Gross National Happiness Index. Ang dream po ni Brother Jerry and the rest of the foundation is to make the Philippines the happiest place on earth. Tatalunin natin yung Disneyland. And we are going to be known as the happiest people in the world. The Filipinos are happy. Are you happy? Pwede bang ngumiti tayo lahat? Kitiyan nyo lang yung katabi ninyo. Mula po ngayon hanggang matapos ang programa natin ngayong gabi, ang sumimangot, pangit. So kailangan magkitiyan tayo. And well, at this point in time, before we go on with the rest of the program, talking about peace, happiness, brotherhood, harmony, and Philippine progress, it's time for us to fill ourselves and break bread, partake of the dinner tonight with our friends from the Manila Hotel. Dinner shall now be served. Please enjoy your meal and the company of friends. Bon appetit and enjoy your happy meal. Thank you. Of the precepts of the 21 precepts of the way to happiness, and we will talk about that more in details later after dinner. And later also during the dinner break, we shall also be listening and watching the Awit sa Marawi. That's one of our highlighted presentations for tonight. Tatanong sa akin, sabi, Barbie ba talaga pangalan mo? Yes, I'm probably the only male Barbie you'll ever meet. Kapangalan ko po yung mga manika ninyo. But of course, Barbie is a nickname for a longer name, and people were asking, what's your real name? I say, let's stay friends, don't ask. And be happy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been distributing copies of the book, The Way to Happiness. Everybody has one? Everybody has one? Read it out because, you know, it may sound so simple and so commonsensical, but you know, there's more to it than just that. It's really very meaningful. It's done a lot of difference in different countries around the world. Chairman Jerry will be talking to us more about that in details later on. Pero maganda yan, take a look at the 21 precepts of the Way to Happiness and find out, I don't know if you've read it already, do you have favorites? Do you have favorites among the 21? Karina, David said his favorite was number 18. I don't know what your favorites are, but better take a look at that and read it already. Because later on we'll have a quiz. And where's Jerry? I understand Jerry has promised that he will have a quiz for everybody. And whoever wins the quiz will win a fabulous prize for tonight. One of you will be going home with a brand new 2017 Toyota Vios keychain. Keychain. Oh, galante kami ngayon eh. Alright. And since we're also at the Manila Hotel, we will also give a lucky winner gift certificate worth 25,000 pesos worth of iced tea. Consumable by 10 o'clock, no sharing and no leftovers. I don't know how you'll survive that. But I don't know. I don't know about you, but my favorite here are number 19 and 20. It says something like, ayan, wala tuloy. I don't know, parang golden rule eh. Parang may golden rule, do unto others before they do it to you. Ay, hindi ba na, no? But anyway, kanina while you're eating, ladies and gentlemen, there was a beautiful song that was being played. Very, very meaningful song. And I don't know, I just don't want to let this chance pass by before we go on with the program proper. But I'd like to ask our technicians to play that song once again. This was a song written by Benny Saturno. one of our noted composers in the Philippine music industry. And this is Awit ng Marawi. So we will pause for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Why don't you take a look at the screen? The words are there, the photos are there, but let the music get into your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, from Benny Saturno, this is Awit ng Marawi. Dito ba yan?
Sa Marawi ang sagot, ang iisang dugo ay galit ang bumabalo. Mga walang kamuwang-muwang, kayakap ang luha at pakot. Mga maling at hikain ay di tamang sagot. Marawi, sabay-sabay natin ibabangon buong pagmamahal, tayo ay aahon. Marawi, darating din ang isang dapit hapon, sisikat ang araw sa isang bagong ngayon. Kristiyano at Muslim, hindi ba't iisa? Lang tayo ni Allah, dahil isang Ama. Kung bubuksan ang puso ng bawat isa, sa mundo ang maghahari ay ngunit saya. Marawi, sabay-sabay nating ibabangon buong pagmamahal, tayo ay aahon. Marawi, darating din ang isang labing hapon, sisikat ang araw sa isang bagong ngayon. Hindi kulay ang kailangan upang magkaisa. Pula, puti, asul, dilaw, tayo ay iisa. Ang pag-ibig, isang puso, ang mahalaga. Ako, ikaw, sila, tayo'y magsama-sama. Marawi, sabay-sabay natin ibabangon buong pagmamahal, tayo ay aahon. Marawi, darating din ang isang dapit hapon, sisikat ang araw sa isang bagong ngayon. Marawi, sabay-sabay natin ibabangon buong pagmamahal, tayo ay aahon. Marawi, darating din ang isang dapit hapon, sisikat ang araw sa isang bagong
Marawi is such a beautiful city down south. Today, ravaged by destruction and bloodshed. And from all that, kung sama-sama po tayo, muli natin babangon ang Marawi and we will make it a land of peace, happiness, and prosperity. Mabuhay ang Marawi. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we'd like to continue by calling on our friend from the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office to do the honors of introducing our next key speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, may I call on Maite Marquez.
Hello? Hi! Hello? Ang cute na itong group. I'm supposed to introduce a very... Teka muna. Okay, pagtapos ko, saka pa ako. I'm supposed to introduce a very, very special guest. And as always, I will start with something you can read online. Our guest for this auspicious event has more than 4 decades in serving the nation in defense and foreign relations, and has made significant contributions in both his military and diplomatic career. He was a special presidential representative for Veterans Affairs at the Philippine Embassy in DC from 2004 to 2015. As this military career, he served as the Defense and Armed Forces Attaché, as commander of the Special Operations Command SOCOM, as a commander of the 2nd Scout Ranger Battalion in Malagos, Davao City. But read the rest online. I'd like to tell you what I know about this man. When I started working in Malacanang, I would see him, natakot bigla eh. What was she gonna say? I would see him, I introduced myself as I always do to people, and I'm very, as you can see, madada masyado. He has taken the time out to know my name. So he calls me by name, says, "Oh, I'm Maite," which is very comforting for me because he's a secretary, and I'm not. And one thing I know is I met his very, very lovely wife, who I hope to be introduced to their very good-looking son. Knox, we're both dressed in the same red dress, black bag, and black shoes. Single pa daw anak nila. Nagpapakyut lang ako dito. So, one thing I know is that Tita, Mommy, was telling me that nakita po siya ni Sec. Tapos sabi niya, she was visiting her cousin who's first year pa. Tapos 4th year na pa si Sec. Tapos sabi niya, "Excuse me, can you be my partner for the ring hop?" Eh, hindi natin alam pala that day. He meant, "Can you be my partner for life?" Nah! Clap, 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 clap. So I just want to say that this man, I've seen him also when he's in Congress, and he can parade the blows with such eloquence. And how can you find somebody who's a Secretary of National Defense who can be both stalwart, we call this in Bisaya, usa ka maligdong na tao, o bisag unsang nagkagidlay sa kapukanan sa katungod nga kitamakan ang mga tao na ara gihapon siya. Please join me in welcoming Secretary DELFIN Lorenzana.
Daghang salamat, Maite. Malipong man ta sa imong mga good words. Before I start, let me recognize some of the distinguished guests here. Roni Amanuddin Ismail, the President of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. David POMERANZ, there is a Tagle. You know, when I first saw my schedule and I saw the name David Pomeranz. I said, oh, really? Is he the real David Pomeranz who's coming here? So my staff said, we do not know, sir, if he is really the real, because they didn't know as well. But he is really the real David Pomeranz. The Honorable ABDULGANI MACATOMAN, the Undersecretary for Department of Trade and Industry, representing DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez, Attorney Amaluddin Bazar, representing the President of the Mindanao State University, Undersecretary Paula Shirina Alvarez, who gave a very beautiful speech a while ago. My wife, Edith. I would like to recognize also the members of the defense who are here to support this project. Undersecretary Cardoso Luna, Undersecretary Ernesto Carolina, Undersecretary Rick David, Assistant Secretary William. Ito sa lahat to support us here. You know, Barbie, who is Barbie? They really thought, my staff really thought you were a girl because nakarito Miss Barbie dito. Mr. Barbie Atienza, President United Print Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The organizers of this event, The Way to Happiness Philippines, led by the National Chairman, Jerry Perez de Tagle, and all others here, it is indeed an honor for me to be invited here. This, what we are doing here is a convergence of people who wholeheartedly dedicate themselves to assist in one way or another in the moral, and I will add, psychological recovery of the victims of the Marawi conflict. We all know that war in any form overwhelms and damages the human psyche. Thus, I want to call this process as a moral and psychological recovery from war, a repair of souls. Wars bring psychological wounds to all individuals in the war zone, soldiers and civilians alike. The long-term impact of wars have always been devastating at the emotional, psychological, behavioral, spiritual, and social level. These are wounds that can last an entire lifetime if left untreated. I share with the belief of most of you here that happiness is the cure to the wounds of people who were victims of war. We can help them be happy again through simple ways. I was informed that the proceeds from this dinner will go for the funding of the printing of the non-religious, non-political booklet, The Way to Happiness, this one, which will be distributed to the peoples of Marawi to help them rise again. Hopefully, this act of kindness will make them smile again and find their renewed happiness. Now, I was visited by the group last week, but before I met them, I met a group of graduating high school students, K-12. And if you have been meeting with K-12 students, I was surprised by the depth of their questions. One of the questions that was asked me was, Mr. Secretary, how can we help our people and our government without joining the military? And then off the bat I said, first, be a good citizen. Number two, pay your taxes. Number 3, volunteer to help your community. Maybe if everybody does that, maybe we will have less problem in this country and we will have peace. As mentioned by Ms. Alvarez a while ago, there is actually what we call the index of happiness. It's called the gross national happiness or GNETs. And sabi nga niya kanina, we are number 52. We jumped 10 slots higher, meaning that he said a while ago we are happy. Despite some of the problems that we encounter, we are a happy people. The gross national happiness measures not only economic output, but also the net environmental impacts, the spiritual and cultural growth of citizens, mental and physical health, and strength of the corporate and political system. So, andyan na lahat, everything is there. As we are in the process of rehabilitating and reconstructing the physical aspects of the war-torn Marawi City, it is even more important to assess the spiritual and moral recovery of the people. It is only when the people have morally and psychologically recovered that we can finally say that Marawi has fully recovered. When we first organized Task Force Marawi and started meeting, and we invited invited all the departments that are supposed to be there, we found out that there were civic organizations who would like to come in and participate. And one of the things that we found out actually is how to recover themselves, the Marawi people, because they are experiencing stress, emotional disturbance there in the evacuation center, and how to bring them back there and maybe cure some of the ills that they have, psychological ills that they must have acquired during the time of separation from their homes. And I was very much encouraged by the support that we get from the civic sectors that would like to come in. Now we have the Way to Happiness group are also willing to come. The Task Force Bangon Marawi is actually working on the social healing of all affected communities through the conduct of multi-sectoral group, psychosocial healing sessions, peace promoting assessment and planning, and mainstreaming peace education in schools and madrasa. On this note, allow me to thank all of you for your support in our peace-building efforts. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagtulong upang makabangon muli ang Marawi. Before I end, let me leave this quote from Mr. Galadwell, an American writer who said, "If you want to bring a fundamental change in people's belief and behavior, you need to create a community around them, where those new beliefs can be practiced and expressed and nurtured." And that is the challenge that we will face once we start rehabilitating Marawi. The people will go there and start to rebuild themselves and their homes and their lives. Now, I thought I told Gani a while ago, using ABDULGANI MACATOMAN. I told him, prepare yourself when you see Marawi as it is now. It's devastated. When we toured Marawi last week with the President, when we went to the Great Mosque, and we walk around, see the devastation, it hurts my feeling to see a beautiful city devastated like that. And sabi ko nga, one of the things that I told our people in Iligan is that to prepare the minds of the residents of Marawi of what they will see when they go there. Talagang it's devastated. It will break your heart if you see the city now. The update of the conflict in Marawi, the report that I got today is that our troops have recovered the pink building there near the lake. and the Batu Mosque. At the Batu Mosque, they were able to recover more than 50 high-powered firearms plus 7 bodies of the terrorists. So that's the update of the conflict, and we expect the conflict to end soon. I was actually telling the media the other day that we will finish it by Sunday, but the troops said we don't know yet because they have to assess what they will see tomorrow. But I keep telling also the people that I meet that when they ask about Marawi is that prepare yourself for a long haul. It will take us a long time to rebuild Marawi. There are about 200,000 residents of Marawi who were displaced. Some of those evacuees have started going back to the communities that were not destroyed. But for the central business district that was totally destroyed, the residents will have to be housed in temporary shelters before they can go back to their homes, because we have to rebuild them one by one. And next week, the post-conflict assessment will start, where we will find out the real devastation. We'll bring in the experts, the engineers and the architects to assess the damage and make an estimate of the damage. So by maybe 2 to 3 weeks time, we will see the cost of the real cost, the exact cost of rebuilding Marawi, and the time frame where we can finish the rebuilding. But it will depend on the resources that is available to us. So thank you very much, and may we all live happy lives. Let us work together in painting smiles on the faces of people, not only in Marawi but all over the country. Let us make sure that we will win the war against extremism by winning the hearts and minds of the people. I think this is the most important one, winning the hearts and minds of the people. Because if we are not careful in the rebuilding of Marawi, then we may end up being blamed, the government being blamed for what happened in Marawi. Let us work together in achieving genuine and sustainable DIYAKATRA, the Maranao term for peace, one that is grounded on ethics and values. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Secretary of the National Defense, Secretary DELFIN Lorenzana. Mr. Secretary, may we ask you to please come forward in front, and as we call it, Chairman Jerry, to present a token of appreciation to our honorable guest speaker. Secretary DELFIN Lorenzana. And to him, our appreciation, our gratitude for joining us here tonight. And congratulations also, you just might bring home a brand new daughter-in-law. Maiden, yeah, sama ka na. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of peace in our country cannot be overemphasized. This is so important, this is so critical. Exactly why we have gathered here tonight. Other than peace, though, there is another pillar that we need for our national development. Let me now call on the Secretary General of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry to introduce the next speaker. Let's call on Mr. Nasser Sharif.
Good evening. I find it always good to start with salam or shalom if you wanted to be kosher about it, because it softens the heart. As you can really see, we can assure our Muslim friends here that the 21 tenets of the DWPH is halal living all the way. It's not a perishable product that you take off the shelves of supermarket, but just the same, As Jerry has enunciated time and again, TWTH had went out on a limb to have it certified in the Middle East and from around the world. Before unveiling our next speaker, I would be remiss if I don't acknowledge the beautiful souls out there on table 5. That's the Beta Epsilon Sigma and Hiyas ng Silangan of the University of the East. But before you alarm a Senate inquiry, let me assure you that whatever hazing had occurred among us, it was purely intellectual, as we are not your garden variety fraternity and sorority. We are an honor society, the cream de la cream of the university had to offer. This is but fitting because our next distinguished speaker himself hailed from the same institution as we do. He finished his Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration in 1990, his Bachelor's of Laws in 1995, and finally his MBA in 1991 under the same roof, University of the East. DIYAKATRA is about Marawi, and talking about the mess that we have unwittingly found ourselves in, it bears disclosing that the reputed architect of the siege in Marawi, Omar Kayamauti, had actually graduated from the University of the East, an engineer at that. And in the same campus, he also met his future wife, Adela Mimbantas. Small world. By God's grace, Jerry, if the way to happiness had been fast enough to come to our university, we need not be informed about DIYAKATRA tonight. Tonight's event would be superfluous. But before leading the cat of the bag, as Paul McCartney would love to croon, I'd be half a man I used to be if I don't acknowledge the presence of my better half, the adorable Bae Nurullain Pakasum Sharif. Our next speaker is a ferret of a young man, always in a hurry, always on a mission, that he had really little time to appreciate his handwork. Let me not bore you with all the inventory of his achievements. You can always Google him, as Mighty has told us later, a while ago. But suffice it to say that he's the Chairman Emeritus of the Bangsamoro Federal Business Council, among others. And this very year, 2017, he was made Asian Humanitarian Businessman of the Year by the GOD. Ladies and gentlemen, to speak on progress as a basic component of Philippine development, let's welcome the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, a very Maranao himself, and we're oh so proud about him, Dato ABDULGANI MACATOMAN.
Thank you, Brother Nasir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our dear guest, the chairperson of the Task Force Bangon Marawi, Defense Secretary DELFIN LORENZANA, sir, and his better wife, Ma'am Edith, Mr. David POMERANZ, President of the Southeast Asia Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Amanuddin Ismail, the Way to Happiness Philippine National Chairman, Jamie Perez de Tagle, the Vice President of the Mindanao State University, Attorney Jam. Of course, I must acknowledge my one and only wife, Mufaida. other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to everyone. Tonight's gala dinner highlights the sustainable rehabilitation of Marawi. The classic Maranao term for peace presents us with the Ethics Moral Recovery Initiative, or Marawi Sustainable Rehabilitation and Prosperity. With events like this, we are reminded that we should be thankful that we are not in a place, in a situation just like the people of Marawi. As such, we should be mindful of how we can contribute to the recovery and rehabilitation. From our end and the Department of Trade and Industry, we continuously strive to deliver the basic needs in terms of commodities and other products and constantly monitoring prices. Furthermore, we also cater to their businesses and livelihood demands, as the Maranao are inherently business-oriented. The Department of Trade and Industry, as the chair for business and livelihood in the Task Force Bangon Marawi, we commit not just ourselves but the entire department in ensuring the delivery of the needed services of the internally displaced person, the IDPs of Marawi City. In doing our mandate, we do not aim for individual prosperity, rather for the prosperity of all in Marawi. We should not be selective in distributing the seeds of development, instead be inclusive in our coverage. As our attitude of never giving up remains, we should capitalize on every means available to be resilient and strong so we can move forward and be a prime mover of prosperity within Marawi. In addition, we cannot accomplish this on our own. We would need the help of different institutions in administering the agent of prosperity. The different programs we have started in Marawi has been anchored on the support being extended by the private sector and developed further by the innovators and administrators within the Department of Trade and Industry through the leadership of Secretary Ramon Lopez and of course our chairperson of the Task Force Bangon Marawi, Secretary DELFIN LORENZANA, sir. From our ruling store or Discuento Caravan to the different business and livelihood programs we have initiated and lined up in Marawi, we would want to institutionalize the formation of comprehensive prosperity goal for every person, family, business affected by the SAIDs in Marawi. In addition, we also have the marketing strategies, such as the Bangon Marawi exhibit, to be placed in the different national trade fairs, aimed at integrating the products of Maranao into the mainstream market. However, our task does not end in the delivery of these business and livelihood programs. As in the implementation of these programs, predicaments may arise, and the needs to supervise and assure its sustainability remains part of our task. We should remain optimistic and forward-looking as the rehabilitation and recovery process of Marawi may be a long and tedious process where every government agency is involved. Nevertheless, the current administration of President Duterte pledges its support with all of his capacity in assuring the progression of Marawi rehabilitation and the growth of the entire Mindanao region. In addition, we remain open to suggestion and recommendation as to how we can effectively deliver the services mandated to us to do. Our duties are aligned to the duties of other line agencies, as we want a convergence of all agencies working towards the recovery of Marawi. This, on a personal note, is the best manifestation of prosperity. However, as the concept of prosperity covers a wide array of thoughts, I encourage everyone to take up even a small responsibility that they believe can create a ripple effect towards promoting prosperity as a pillar of rehabilitation of Marawi City. Let me share with you a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, from Muslim and Bukhari, saying, "Do you know what is better than charity, fasting, and prayer? It is keeping peace and good relation between people, as quarrels and bad feelings destroy mankind." May this be our guiding principle as we continuously work together in the recovery and rehabilitation of Marawi, and ensuring that we come back stronger from the adversity we are in. Let us also be mindful of what we can do collectively through peace, as we are one Filipino with one goal for the Philippines. May all of us be in consistent communication as we continually elevate the problems and understanding of the people of Marawi and allow its effectual recovery anchored in the different morals and values of different agencies delegated the task of its improvement. Thank you. Mabuhay. Again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary ABDULGANI MACATOMAN of the Department of Trade and Industry. Maraming salamat po. I would like to call on again Chairman Jerry to please present our token of appreciation together with our friend David. The rest of our team. Asek Macatoman, maraming salamat po. Thank you. DIYAKATRA, peace, and the other is prosperity. There is one other pillar, ladies and gentlemen, that must be present in our recovery and restructuring program. And to speak about this next pillar, then we'll now call on our next speaker, which is no less than our very own Chairman of the Way to Happiness Philippines. Earlier, I gave him a lot of adjectives. Nagreklamo siya, wala raw handsome. Sige na nga. The good-looking chairman, Mr. Jerry Perez de Tagle.
Good evening. Assalamualaikum. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be honored in the same table with our esteemed leaders of our country. And indeed, the people who are here this evening, the leaders of our country. I think there is no coincidence why we are all here this evening. So what I want to just share in the next few minutes is what brought this movement here in the country. The key question is led by, what do you think is your vision of our country? Where do you want to see the Philippines from here on? Anong gusto niyong makita? If you had all the resources, where do you want, what kind of country do you want the Philippines to be? First question. Second question is, what do you think are the fundamentals to create a sustainable Philippines that is progressive, that is peaceful? So that's the second question. And what I will discuss with you this evening is, what do you see is your role? So So I will be at the same time challenging you. What is the role that we have in our society? Di po ba? Because I believe that we are in a crossroads. Or who would say that we are in some kind of a crisis even in our country? Who would say that? Huh? Now, the definition of crisis for the Chinese has two meanings, di ba? Crisis in Chinese means danger and it means opportunity. So I take the opportunity road this evening to frame my discussion of a pillar for sustainable peace and sustainable prosperity is the pillar of values. This is the pillar of ethics. Because the key question is, yes, what we see in this opportunity is a change of heart and mind. But how do we do it? Is the question. And tonight, I'll share with you my own personal story of how I came across the book, The Way to Happiness. A few years ago, when I first came across the book, sabi ko, alam ko na yan, AKNY, alam ko na yan. It's like, it's like 10 Commandments, it's like Golden Rule. Of the 21 precepts, precept number 3 made a difference for me. So if you want to take a look at that on page 11, it says, don't be promiscuous. My story was, I married my college sweetheart, but after 10 years, we got split up. Why? Because I did not follow precept number 3. And I still remember that in terms of how it has impacted me. Now, why is it powerful? The book is powerful because I like the title, it's The Way to Happiness. Di ba lahat ng tao naman, mayaman o hindi mayaman, kahit yung kriminal, kahit yung drug lord, yung terrorist, yung insurgent, what are they all looking for? They want a better society, correct? Why? Because we all want to be happy. And so the book offers a practical guide. So if you can go through and peruse through the book with me and open it to page 7, it starts off with a very personal question. Take care of yourself. So let me ask you this evening, who among you this morning, pagising ba niyo this morning, naligo ba kayo? Nag-toothbrush ba kayo? Yes, I hope so, right? So that's precept number 1, take care of yourself. Why? If we do not take care of ourselves, how can we be happy? Common sense, di ba? Practical. So it starts off with that, the self. Then, on page 9, it says be temperate. Don't do harmful drugs. Huwag tayo mag-droga because there's no real happiness there. So, when I read the statistic that when the book was distributed in a country called Colombia, so when I say the word Colombia, what's the first thing that comes to my mind, to your mind? Drugs! It was the kidnapping capital of the world. And so what happened was, when they distributed this book to 20% of the population in a city, they noticed that the drugs and criminality would go down. They did it in another city, it would go down again until they distributed the book to 20% of the population of Colombia, which is half our population. They distributed 13 million books, 20%. Now, why 20%? There is a science here. It's the technology. The first time when it is introduced, there is usually some kind of resistance to it, right? Remember the first time when you saw a mobile phone or an ATM card? I remember that. I said, wow, what kind of technology is that? Why will I want to have a phone in my pocket? Until 20% of the population was using a mobile phone, guess what? The rest, 80%, wanted a cell phone too. So that 20% is called the tipping point. When 20% of the population in Colombia learned about the ethics of the way to happiness, guess what? It made a difference. So now Colombia still has many problems, but they just signed a peace treaty with the FARC last year, and they're going into elections this year. And guess what? From being the kidnapping capital of the world, by 2014, after the distribution of the book, 90% of kidnapping was down. Violent crime was down by 50%. And the economy grew 6 times. Tourism grew 8-fold, 8 times. So when I first heard about this last year, I said, our country needs this. So this is the advocacy that we have here this evening. It is an advocacy that starts with you. So the suggestion is, take a look, skim through the book tonight, and as you skim through it, begin to see which of the precepts touches your heart. And then share it with the people around you, your family, your kids. Share it with your organization. Share it with society. So I'm very pleased to hear what Secretary Lorenzana had shared in his remarks this evening, is that Bangon Marawi, sustainable peace and prosperity, can only be grounded on ethics if it is to be sustainable. That, for me, what Secretary said, for me, I believe is a policy direction for our country. And I think it's fundamental. Why? When we listen and we look at the newspapers every morning, anong nakikita po natin? Instead of puro patayan, corruption, gera, I believe that if we, in this room, we the leaders of society, can begin to speak and share and bring ethics into the forefront, we will then begin to shift our society. It's as simple as that. That's a tipping point model. It is the leadership of the few. And so that's what we're seeing here this evening as we move into the creation of the ideal that you want for our families, for our organization, for our communities, and for society. Simple lang po, di po ba? Now, I want to just close by saying, if you look at precept number 8, precept number 21, if you can open your book to page 67, precept number 21 is flourish and prosper. So what is this saying? That living a life of ethics will lead us to flourish and to prosper. This is what this is saying, I believe. And I remember when we first had our pilot in Davao City, I remember the LGU and the commander of the police said, Jerry, pwede ba to sa ating various communities, to our Muslim communities, to our non-Christian communities? And I said, yes, sir. Take a look at, if you can look at page 57, I love this. Precept number 18 says, respect the religious beliefs of others. So, if you are Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're born again, stay there. This is not about changing anyone's religion. Because this book was written by an author and a humanitarian. His name's L. Ron Hubbard. Also created the religion called Scientology, a process called Dianetics. But take a look at the back. It says there that distribution does not infer connection or sponsorship of any religious organization. So we're using this as a global best practice for change management. I truly believe the greatness of the Filipino people deserves it. And as we change the national narrative in our organization, with government, with media, with NGOs, with churches, just like what is represented tonight is a celebration of the multi-sectoral movement that we have, then I believe we can create whatever it is that we want for our country. And I end with this note that one of our goals is the reactivation of an executive order. There was an executive order during the time of 2004 called the Commission on Values Formation. So one of the things we're looking at is it possible to reactivate that and make it a Commission on Happiness, connected to Asek Alvarez's point on gross national happiness? Can we make the commission a Commission on Happiness and Ethics Values Formation? So that would make us the first country in ASEAN and create the leadership for ethics that is supporting the various programs of our country. We would become the 6th country in the world after Bhutan, Dubai, Ecuador, India. I believe we deserve that. So with that, thank you very much and enjoy. We have our 2 last speakers, and we have David will be speaking and serenading us. And it's about inspiring us, inspiration of hope. So thank you very much for being here, and good evening.
And thank you very much, inspired and inspiring Chairman Jerry Perez de Tagle. Salamat po. With sharing us the way to happiness, ladies and gentlemen. You know, for a while I was afraid because when Jerry is talking about the precept number 1, taking care of yourself, on our table there, and the next table to us, yung tinanong niya, did you take a bath this morning? There was silence for a while. Parang inisip muna, naligo nga ba ako? Lalo na yung brush your teeth. But anyway, you know, a lot of the big message there is, folks, the way to happiness is right here within our reach. And it happened in Colombia, it can happen here in the Philippines if we do something about it. Happiness is an international message. And to talk to us about happiness in an international perspective, ladies and gentlemen, today we are so honored and blessed to have with us one of the best, if not the best songwriter of all time anywhere in the world. But tonight, more importantly, he is the international agent of happiness. Please welcome back David POMERANZ.
Thank you very much. My goodness. Well, I tell you something, and this is a dream come true. My wife and I, Kelly, first read The Way to Happiness many years ago, and we met a person who's here tonight that I want to introduce to you. He, at the time, was the head of the Street Children program at the Philippine National Red Cross for years and years, I think 10 years. And he was responsible, singularly responsible, for taking care of all of those indigent children in and around the Philippines. So we met him, we showed him The Way to Happiness book. He employed it, we made wonderful effects. We created a Way to Happiness school, 2 of them in fact. We had a Way to Happiness bus. And this guy is awesome, and I just wanted to just introduce him to you. Mr. Edgar Mejia is right there. Please stand, sir. And it's so funny, everyone's discoing up here. It's so funny. Thank you, Edgar. A friend of mine, I spoke with her earlier, says to me, well, Marawi needs help. They need food. They need housing. They need clothes. Why do they need a book? I said, good point. Let me explain. Because one of the things that Jerry said is equally true. Yes, they need those things. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But this round robin in every country of the world goes on and on and on and on. And Marawi will recover, and the good people of Marawi and the Philippines, as they always do, will be resilient once more, and will best it, and will rise. Always. But what we want to now do is, at the same time, we want to make it so that this doesn't happen again, and again, and again, and again. And I'm not talking about the Philippines. All over the world. What's missing? What's missing are values. It's values. Who is it that said, there used to be, I think the secretary said, we used to have good values and conduct in school. Was that what it was called? What is it?
Good manners and right conduct.
Good manners and right conduct. Well, it's kind of gone. Have you noticed? The reasons aren't important. But the common decency that we share decency. Man is basically good. As crazy as he expresses himself at times, he's basically good. So, why this book? So, Kelly and I looked at this book, and we read through it and went, oh, this is awesome. And like Jerry said, I first looked at it and went, oh, happiness, you know. I mean, maybe some of you have this experience, like happiness, you know, peace and love. I was a hippie, you know. I know peace and love and all of this, and fairy dust and sprinkles. And so my first reaction was, what's this? And I started to look at this thing and I went, oh, wait a minute. 21 precepts. Each one of them, if one were to keep them all, this is my own realization. I went, oh, this is science. This is not just sweetness and skipping in the forest, happiness. No. If one were to do every one of these things, you know, be temperate, don't be promiscuous, love and help children, set a good example, honor your parents, treat others the way you'd like to be treated, do not steal, do not murder, fulfill your obligations, be competent, If one were to actually confront, it's a personal thing. You look at this book, you go through every precept, and you confront personally, in yourself, with yourself. Am I being that now? How am I doing on precept? I don't know. Pick any one of them. Here. Safeguard and improve your environment, you know? You know, I saw this, it's true. I saw a guy throw a cigarette butt on the street in Los Angeles years ago. And because I'm crazy like that, I picked it up and I handed it back to him, you know. I don't know. But the point of it is that, you know, you see so much of this stuff. You step over the people. You step over homeless people. You step over dirt. You step around things. You go straight into the building, you know, so you don't have to look at the squiggly wires of the... Safeguard and improve your environment, and it's something to measure up against. What am I doing to safeguard and improve my environment? What am I doing to be worthy of trust, to be competent, to fulfill my obligations? Oy, 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 as they say in my family. My family, I have this Jewish family, and they say oy, oy, oy over everything. I think oy, oy, oy is international, right? I think that's everywhere. Oy, oy, oy. Anyway, so what I've come to tell you is why this book is so effective. Why this is not just another book of platitudes and nice thoughts. If one were to actually do every one of these better and better every day, you know, you do it better and better every day. What it equals is a person who is proud, who functions in life, who can reach and do things, who can meet people, who can love people. You do these things and you don't have to cower and hide and, you know, hope you won't get found out. So you do these things, you stand up proud. And what happens? Happiness. That's what I realized. It's bloody science. You apply this book and you stand up tall as you, and happiness. Bang. So I wanted to share that aspect with you and why this little book is so effective and important. Okay. And so I'm going to sing a song, because that's what I do best. First I'm going to sing something. I'm going to do something completely crazy, if it's all right with you. Because there's so many religions here. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it just because it's fun. So many religions here, and as Jerry pointed out, you know, it's an honor every religion. Honor every religion. So I was raised as Jewish. And one of the things that's always binded me to humanity is music and religious music. All religious music is extraordinary. Christian music, Muslim music, Jewish music, Buddhist music. Oh my God, music. Why? Because it's right from here. It woohoo! It just lifts you to the sky, and that's what it's for. So I'm going to sing something. I'm going to dedicate it to my father. My father's 91. He's home right now, and I want to sing this to him. This is something from the Jewish New Year, which is occurring right now. And I want to share the beauty of this music, okay? Is that okay with you? Yeah. Okay, my dad and I used to sing this in the synagogue when I was a little boy. Okay, here we go. No, that's not it. Thank you, though. That's next. Thank you, sir. Okay, this is a cappella. Resjesifosenu Yerav lifonecho Ram viniso Resjesifosenu Yerav lifonecho Ram viniso Mevenu mazin, mabitu makshiv, oh mevenu mazin, mabitu makshiv, lechol, tekio asenu. Uvechover birachamim uverotzon seder malachio That's from my daddy. Oh, let's do one more.
Haba Nagila.
Haba Nagila. Hey, Haba Nagila. I don't even know if I know it. I just know it goes like this. I'm going to do, you want to hear a song that you know? Want to hear one of these? All right, let's go. I'm going to get my guitar. We have a little bit of time, it's all right? I know it's been a long evening, but I want to just sing for you just one more. And then we have another speaker or two, and then I'm going to close the evening with a big thought. So please stick around. We're almost done. Thank you so much for being here. It's a joy to be with you and to share this great thing that we're going to do together. Okay. Ah, sir! Just happen to have my guitar. I'm going to put this on a mic stand because playing my guitar and holding this in my hand is quite impossible. I'm going to put it a virtual mic stand. There he goes. Mic stand, mic stand, mic stand, mic stand. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I planned on doing this either, but you inspire me, so what the heck? You know why this is also a treat for me, and sharing this book with you guys is because you guys are you're so dear. You know, I tell my friends, yes sir. Yeah, I tell my friends about the Philippines all the time, and how much I love you. Oh, can I have an E, please? E. B, 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 B. Close. Okay. Now we're going to turn it on. Is my friend Ray Davis there? It's okay, if it doesn't work, I can always do Hava Nagila. It's okay. Ooh, I don't like that sound. Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila. Hey, laka baka baka waka waka. It's all right. If it doesn't work, we'll just go to a -1. It's not a problem. What do you think, sir? -1?
We can hear it.
You can hear this?
Yes.
Oh, crazy. Okay. Ah, better. Here we go. Just lower this in the monitor, please. This guitar. Thank you. I usually play this on the piano, but I don't have a piano. It's my guitar. Too many billion people running around the planet. What is the chance in heaven that you'd find your way to me? Tell me, what is this sweet sensation? It's a miracle that's happened. Though I search for an explanation, only one thing it could be, that I was born for you. It was written in the stars. Yeah, I was born for you. And the choice was never ours.
belong here in your arms. I'll find the answer. Somehow nothing would be so wrong here if they only realize that I was born for you and that you were born for me. Every misery in the world, this was clearly meant to be. What we have could never understand or ever take away. And as the years go by, until the day I die, I was born for you. I was born for you. That's it. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. All right, I'm going to be back to end off in a little bit. Do I need to say anything differently now? We have the next thing. Barbie's going to come back. Barbie, please come back. Hey, you are doing a fantastic job.
Hey,
please
thanks.
give Barbie a big, big hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Pomeranz. We're not going to let you off that easily. We're going to have you back in a while. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about. The song, David, born for you. Nobody lives for his own. Walang sino man nabubuhay para sa sarili lamang. We live for others, right? And there are only three kinds of people in the world: people who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. You don't want to be the third category. You are people who will make things happen. You are the people who are going to make this country a happy Philippines for all Filipinos. Yes? Yes. Ang lakas ng yes ko. Sige. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tie up everything tonight in a neat package, and I'd like to call on to do that task the Vice President for Administrative Affairs of the Mindanao State University. Let's call on, ladies and gentlemen, Attorney Jamuladen Bazar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Secretary of National Defense, Honorable DELFIN LORENZANA, and the beautiful wife, Assistant Secretary Paula Alvarez of the Finance. Thank you so much, ma'am, for our initial talks that you'll be helping the Mindanao State University. Assistant Secretary ABDULGANI MACATOMAN of the DTI, and also with the beautiful wife. Amanuddin D. Ismail and all other officers of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Jerry Tagli and all officers and members of the Way to Happiness. Of course, that got to be the magic, David Pomeranz. Thank you, sir, for the songs. National officials of our government, officials of the Mindanao State University, other guests and participants, allow me to greet you with the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As I am tasked to deliver a closing remarks, or and in behalf of our MSU President, Dr. Habib W. Makayong, may I ask your indulgence to share with you some humble insights, which I do hope somehow bring our open minds to the summation of what we have interestingly talked about, what we have conferred upon among us here tonight in relation to our common humanitarian desire to help the devastated, beautiful city of Marawi, our own dear city, the city and home of the Maranaos, which is an inseparable part of the Philippine territory, rich in cultures, and finally, a wonderful part of this planet, to raise up again to a new height of peace and prosperity. In the classic, The Little Prince by Antoine Saint-Exupéry, we learn a precious lesson shared by the fox who befriends the little prince during the latter's trip to the planet Earth. Like the fox, I ask you to lean closer and listen attentively and seriously and savor every word of the pithy advice. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Indeed, what is essential is invisible to the eye. DIYAKATRA or peace, morals, initiative. These are among the intangible essentials that make life more meaningful. While mulling or reflecting on the event's chosen theme, it occurred to me that we do not have to search far and wide for inspiration. We can draw on Oriental wisdom like Confucius' ethical humanism, Taoism, and Zen Buddhism. Let us start with peace, which I believe must be understood in a broader and deeper sense. We aspire for peace that definitely is not the peace or silence of the graveyard. It is the peace that comes from within, from a sense of oneness with the universe. Zen Buddhists meditate for hours on end to attain the desired serenity or calm, and from there aspire or emptiness or extinction of all desires. They call this state nirvana. Perhaps by emptying ourselves of all forms of negativity and base instincts, urges, and tendencies like distrust or suspicion of others, intolerance of or lack of respect for differences, desire for control and power over others, and use of force to achieve one's goal, peace among mankind will not be as elusive and difficult to attain. From Confucianism, we learn the basic values that are essential to the realization of a harmonious, progressive society. Love or kind-heartedness, observance of rituals, customs and traditions, respect for authority, filial piety, avoidance of extremism, and fidelity to one's duty or title. And from Taoism, we learn how to steer clear of strife or of conflict by inaction or an assertive action, by humility, simple living, and living in harmony with nature. In all the great religions founded in the East, the sacredness of life is a common ideal. Reverence for life in any form is instilled in the faithful. For example, in Jainism, a religion in India, one must guard against opening his or her mouth too much when laughing, lest he or she swallows a gnat or fly. In Buddhism, a notorious criminal is given by the Buddha a chance to climb or clamber out of hill because of one good deed. Once he, a hardened criminal, spared a spider's life, how much more valuable must another human being's life is? An assertive action and eschewing or avoiding extremism make for a more peaceful world. Conflicts or wars are avoided. We take the middle path and avoid swinging too far to either left or right. We should engage more in dialectics than in debates. We can learn from one another's perspective instead of seeking the conversion of the other fellow to our kind of thinking. These are sample of values, social, moral, and spiritual, that the West could learn from the East, especially in this time of strife and violence. We learn time-honored values and sage advices from the Oriental sayings. I find one very timely for the situation in the city of Marawi. Do not give a man fish, teach him instead how to fish. I am sure this saying is echoed and re-echoed in other cultures. I have yet to hear of a culture that does not valorize self-reliance and initiative. I believe what Marawi needs now is to fall back on the resources of the old, the core values of our people. For example, Maratabat, which gives rise to self-reliance and initiative. We will not live off on the pity and charity of others. Parasitic dependence and mendicancy will never be a way of life for the Maranaos, because this dependence goes against the grain of our nature as proud people. We have the will and capacity to live useful lives, and in dignity, with our self-respect still intact, we take the initiative to pick up the pieces and rebuild our lives. This is the authentic Maranao attitude. The Andang Amiona, the life of our ancestors, provides paradigm or model for us to live by. They keep the peace through governance by consultation or musawer, and contain and resolve conflicts through negotiation, and by invoking ties that bind a common pangsa or katutungan. In regard moral recovery, the tenets of Islam serves as pillar. Islam is a comprehensive or complete good of life. Its noble teachings must guide the rebuilding of the city of Marawi. Perhaps if there is anything good that can grow out of the Marawi crisis, it is the spiritual reawakening of all the adherents of the faith. It is Islam as a religion of peace, compassion, and solidarity that should be taught at home and in our schools. It is not the kind of Islam being distorted by actors of violence and mercilessness. This is the only way we can stay on track. As we consider the reconstruction of Marawi, it is indeed providential that even miraculous that with the help of the national government, under the evil administration of our beloved President Rodrigo Duterte and his cabinet secretaries, like Defense Secretary Honorable DELFIN LORENZANA and others, as well as the good AFP commanders and officials, men and women on the ground, the Mindanao State University Marawi campus, which is just few kilometers away from the main battleground, has been spared from the siege and now on its normal operation, catering to the educational needs of the thousands of students from all over Mindanao. In line with the commitment of the national government, the recovery of Marawi is now being started in the Mindanao State University Marawi campus, that now gives shining hope to both Muslims and Christians in the area as well as in the whole Mindanao. With the statutory mandate of the Mindanao State University as a premier state university of the South, that is to integrate the Moro people into the mainstream of the national body politics by providing them with quality education. The university under the evil administration of Dr. Habib Makayong, with what has tragically happened to Marawi, has now strengthened itself, broadened its perspective, optimized its capability, enhanced its resources to effectively help the crisis of the reconstruction of Marawi for a better future. MSU has reaffirmed its given commitment to be the stance partner of the national government and other concerned institutions in the search for peace and development of the Minsopala region. It is on this premise that, among others, MSU manifests its strong collaboration with the co-sponsors of these peace and reconstruction initiatives, because as an institution of higher learning, MSU absolutely agrees that sustainable reconstruction of Marawi must lay down firm underpinnings of good values, morals, and ethics of our people if we really want Marawi to be transformed into better. In closing, I personally agreed with a newfound friend of mine, whom we have crossed our ways because of the Marawi crisis. I am referring to Dr. Jerry D. Tagle, who is with us tonight, a wonderful personality along with his fellows of their impressive group the Way to Happiness Philippines Incorporated, as well as the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, with manifest dedication to help the needy, who told me during our first productive meeting at the DELFIN Hotel, saying that war may be viewed of two things, danger and opportunity. Exactly, damages of the Marawi war are already there. But on the bright side, there is now the opportunity to transform Marawi into a better city with good people practicing good values. Yet now, not tomorrow, not the other time, for us to act for this great transformation before we may be overtaken by undesirable events that will stymie our path towards the right direction. May the Almighty God give us the ultimate happiness, and I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Attorney Basar, and thank you, Mindanao State University. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we have feedback sheets that are distributed on your tables. Kindly take time to please fill this out. We'd like to be able to do better in our mission of spreading the word of peace and happiness to everybody. So please help us out by filling out those forms. All right, the main message for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the true way to happiness is you, no one else. Beyond borders, beyond boundaries, beyond barriers, we're all in this together. And to continue and complete our celebration of DIYAKATRA tonight, the night of peace for everybody, let's bring up on stage the David POMERANZ.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying to the end. That was an extraordinary set of speeches we heard tonight. Truly inspiring. So I'm going to, first I'm going to present one last thing to you. Hey, Greg. I'm going to present one last thing to you, and then we're going to sing a closing song, okay? All right. So first of all, other than me, there is another happiness agent from the Philippines. Although he cannot join us tonight, he sent us a short video, and we're going to show it to you. Please welcome Jeffrey Santos, who is an actor here and chairman of the Actors Guild of the Philippines. He has a few words for you. So here we go. Jeffrey Santos. There he is. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Santos, and I'm the chairman of the Actors Guild here in the Philippines, the KITV.PHILIPPINES, or the Kapisanan ng mga Artistang Pilipino ng Pelikula at Television Incorporated. I'm also a rescue instructor. I teach BLS, or Basic Life Support, CPR, Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation, and DMR, Emergency Medical Response. And I'm also a happiness agent for the Way to Happiness Philippines. I was given a book, and I hope you were too. And in this book, we are shown that there are 21 ways to happiness. And you have your honoring your father, being patriotic. But what caught my attention was number 19. Try not to do things to others that you would not like them to do to you. For me, it's very, very significant because it's a very powerful message that sends the message to everybody, because everything has to be earned. Respect, wealth, love. It's a very good sense and rule of thumb, because this is one way of telling others what you want them to do to you, or how you want them to treat you. So, do unto others like you want them to do to you. Again, this is Jeffrey Santos, happiness agent for the Way to Happiness Philippines. Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Wow. That's lovely. All right. So let's sing a song together. This is something I wrote years ago with David Shire. We wrote it for the United Nations, the World Summit for Children. I don't do it in concert much, but I want to do this tonight. And it's about responsibility. It's about us. It's because Jerry and the secretary and our esteemed friend from the university said, all of them, everyone tonight, said a very similar thing. It's up to us. So here it is. It's called In Our Hands, and I sing it to you with all my heart, with thanks. Take this little book, give it to your friends, give it to your family, just flow it out like a sea, you know, and see what happens. Magic. Here we go. Like a little child, I've done lots of wishing, hoping it would make the world okay. I have wished upon a star, then watched it moving farther away. Till today, nothing comes from waiting for, hoping someone else will make it bright. It's because of you and me, I see a future flooded with light. Yeah. In our hands, there's a world in our care. In our hands lies the power we share. In our hands, it can grow even more than we know when we all understand. All that is in our hands. Sometimes when I read the morning paper, something in my heart wants to scream. Thought the world a better place to one crying child's face makes that seem still a dream. Oh, then I hear my children's morning laughter, and I know there's still a choice that's mine. After all the blinding smoke, the fires of tomorrow still shine. Oh yeah, yeah. In our hands, there's a world in our hands. In our hands, lies the power we share. In our hands, we can grow even more than we know. When we all understand all that is in our hands. There's a world in our hands. In our hands lies the power we share. In our hands, it can grow even more than we know. When we all understand all that is in our Maraming salamat po. Thank you for being here and helping us share the way to happiness. Jerry, do you want to? Oh, don't forget to fill in the little forms that we gave you and let us know how you'd like to participate in this great movement, this great idea, okay? Jerry, anything to close with?
One more song!
Oh yeah, there are books signed by me out there. Hey, 500 million pesos. Thank you very much, everybody. And I love you very much.
One more song!
What? What?
One more song! One day! One more song!
What do you want to hear?
One day!
Which one?
King of Hearts!
Magic.
Or one day!
Can I play King and Queen of Hearts?
King of Hearts!
Jet, do we have that anywhere?
It might be on that. It might be on that disc, actually. Or let's try to find it. All right. This is an extra. Well, I sang that last song. Some of those notes were too high for me because I sing that with a woman. So I had to pretend I sang her part there. That was pretty good, though. I have very tight underwear. The way to happiness is have nice loose underwear.
We're here.
Thank you, Jerry, for your. Let's give a hand to Jerry Perez de Tagler for ushering this. Thank you, Barbie, for doing a wonderful job. Thank you to all the speakers for having a truly inspired evening. Absolutely extraordinary. So, we found it? Okay, I'm going to get rid of some of this reverb. It sounds like I'm in a karaoke bar. 1, 2, test 1. Is that better? Is that? Okay. All right, let's do this together. Here we go. Please sing with me, okay?
Yes.
I go like this. Oh no, that's a different song. Keep going. That's fast. Wait a minute, stop. That's like a Munchkin song. It's like On This Day for Munchkins. Let's do, oh my God, this is going to be fast. Try it, the next track. We'll find it. Hang on. Hope it's not too fast. It's show business.
Love you, David.
Thank you, my sweet. I love you. Thank you.
All of us here. From Region 6.
That's it. I'm going to sit here. We're the king and queen of hearts. Hold me when the music starts. All my dreams come true when I dance with you. Promise me you're mine tonight. I won't wait in line tonight while the lights are bright. I'll never let you go. Here's your part. Did I dream that we danced forever in a wish that we made together on a night that I prayed would never end? Oh, no, it's not my imagination or a part of the orchestration. Love was here at the coronation. I'm the king, you're the queen of hearts. Time will pass and tears will fall, but someday we'll both recall moments made of these golden memories. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, oh. Yeah, yeah.
guys. Thank you very much for coming. What a memorable, memorable evening. Thank you so much. Thanks to all. I love you. Mwah.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Pomeranz. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers, the Way to Happiness Foundation Philippines, Mr. Chairman Jerry Perez Tagle, and we'd like to announce everybody that we have autographed copies of the book, The Way to Happiness, on your way out for a token, well, for a small donation for the foundation and all its causes. Please do get a copy for yourselves and for your friends and for your family. Lahat po tayo kasama dito sa laman para sa tungo sa kasiyahan, kaligayahan, kapayapaan. Thank you very much and drive home safely. Good night!
Can you please picture ba? Picture kami kaya sekretary.
POMERANZ ako, may litrato lang. Kanina.
Tinatamad kasi ako magpa-picture ka dito.
Saan?
Eh, ikaw. Si David.
Kanina? Bait niya eh. Ayun o, kayo no? Makatuman.
Okay lang? Ha?
Mamaya, maingay ba?
Di ba? Okay na yung program?
Oo, ganda yung program. Ganda.
Ha? Okay na yung si Arim. Okay na si Alim.
Ito? Tawagan niya.
Ha?
Tawagan niya. Gusto niya
Director Amanuddin Ismail. I understand that at the same time you're the president of Southeast Asian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Congratulations for tonight's very successful event. No, can we hear from you some words about tonight's event?
Thank you for your kind words. The main purpose of this event is, of course, to help initiate this Marawi recovery program. And of course, being the president of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we partner with this the Way to Happiness Philippine Foundation in order to help support the reconstruction of Marawi, because when we reconstruct Marawi, it is not about the physical construction, but also the governance, justice, and reconciliation. It is also about this economic profit. So magandang umpisa ito because sa narinig niyo po sa mga speakers kanina, talagang maganda yung suporta nila sa Marawi. And the beginning of which is the printing of these booklets. This is the Way to Happiness that will be translated into Maranao. And then, i-distribute namin sa Marawi. Because doon po tayo mag-umpisa sa basic. This is about ethics and moral recovery. So yun po yung magandaan nito. And of course, this is also one of the project of the Rotary Club of Cotabato City Ground. This is about this peace and conflict resolution. Doon po papasok yan. Kaya we invited also participants from the Cotabato Rotary Club of Cotabato City South.
Do you have some words for your kababayan Maranaos from Marawi?
Para po sa ating mga kababayan ng Maranao, kunting tiis lang po because I do believe that the government is doing its best in order to reconstruct the city of Marawi. Lahat po ng bagay na dapat gawin ay gawin nila. Kaya kunting tiis lang po.
There are some more words for your friends somewhere else?
Of course, doon naman sa Rotary Club of Cotabato City South, alam ko na nandito po tayo because we also purchase some seats for this because this is part of our program. And we do hope that you will support this program because we have the same mission and vision. For the fellow members of the Southeast Asian Islamic Chamber of Commerce, I think we have done this event. This is a great thing for us, and we are hoping that in the coming years or coming months, we'll be sponsoring another event. At kami po ay bilang isang sponsoring party ng event na ito, kami po ay nagpapasalamat din sa ating partner sa Way to Happiness because sila po ang mini sponsoring party dito sa party na ito.
Maraming salamat po and congratulations again. Thank you very much.